I was saying, thank you for joining us for our webinar today on the survey administration process for the 2020 Texas Parent Involvement Survey. My name is Jill Carley, and I'll be leading today's presentation as part of the Texas Parent Involvement Survey team. I work with Gibson Consulting, which has coordinated the Texas Parent Involvement Survey for TEA for the last 4 years, both with Region 9 ESC and now Region 10 ESC. This will be our 5th year helping to coordinate the statewide survey effort. Just one housekeeping note before we begin. We're using the Zoom platform for today's webinar. You can change any settings from the Zoom toolbar that pops up when you mouse over the bottom of your Zoom window. As part of the standard setting, you can hear us, but we can't hear you. When we open it up for questions at the end of the webinar, click on the chat icon. A text window will pop up. You can use this box to ask any questions you might have. We'll provide our responses verbally, and we'll also post full responses to questions from both webinars to the online survey portal later this week. A recording of the webinar will also be available on the survey portal later this week. For today's webinar, we'll start with a brief overview of the Texas Parent Involvement Survey and how parents of students receiving special education services are selected to receive the survey. We'll go over the spring survey timeline, discuss how to best prepare for distributing the survey, and talk through the options for distributing the survey in your district or school. Then we'll go over ways to reach out to parents to increase responsiveness to the survey. Finally, we'll talk about what your next steps are and finish up with plenty of time for questions. The Texas Parent Involvement Survey is an annual survey of parents who have a student receiving special education services. The Parent Involvement Survey in special education is used to measure Indicator 8 of the State Performance Plan. The survey is required by the Office of Special Education Programs, or OSEP, and measures the extent to which parents, guardians, and educational surrogates agree their school is facilitating parent involvement as a means to improve services and results for children receiving special education services. Are folks still having trouble hearing? Sorry, I just wanted to check in and see if it seems like there may be a few people who are having trouble. Okay. So it seems like some folks are still able to hear. So if you're having trouble hearing, then it may be maybe like a local issue. So just wanted to take a pause and check in since there were some folks who were having trouble. But thank you for all for replying. Great. So a well-designed survey sample ensures that data collected from parents of a sample of students is representative of the state's population of students receiving special education services. As a result, in any given year, only a portion of districts, campuses within districts, and students within campuses are selected to participate. By surveying a sample of parents, rather than all parents every year, we help reduce the burden of administering the survey on schools, districts, and parents. Districts that serve 50,000 or more students participate in the survey every year. The remaining districts are assigned to one of 6 cycles. One cycle participates each year over the course of 6 years. In other words, 1/6 of the school districts in Texas, plus any district surveying 50,000 or more students, participate in the survey each year. Last year was cycle 6, so this year we selected a fresh set of districts for each cycle based on 2018-19 Texas Academic Performance Report data, or TAPER data. This year, we're on the first year of that 6-year cycle. Because districts were randomly selected, it's possible that some districts that were included in last year's survey as part of cycle 6 were selected to participate as part of cycle 1 this time around. So a district could participate 2 years in a row without having more than 50,000 students. Within districts, campuses are selected to participate in the survey. In small districts, all or nearly all campuses will be included in the survey effort. In larger districts, schools will be randomly selected to reflect the composition of the district. Within selected campuses, parents of students receiving special education services are randomly selected to receive the survey. In small districts, parents of students receiving special education services in all or nearly all schools will be included in the parent involvement survey. In large districts, a proportion of students will be selected in each school relative to the size of the school. No more than 50 students will be selected in each school. We'll talk now about the overall timeline for the 2020 Texas Parent Involvement Survey. Throughout March, we're communicating with district coordinators to prepare them for distributing the survey in their district. We're also preparing all survey materials districts need to be sure that all of the parents, guardians, and educational surrogates of selected students receive a survey. In early April, districts should begin receiving survey packages. Some districts will only receive one box of surveys, while others will receive multiple boxes. If you're in an SSA cooperative or a larger district, be on the lookout for multiple boxes. If you're in an SSA or cooperative, materials should also be bundled by district. When districts receive surveys, they should be distributed to parents as soon as possible, preferably in the first half of April. 1 to 2 weeks after distributing the survey, districts will distribute reminder postcards to the parents of the selected students. Once parents start completing surveys, Gibson will begin providing response rates to region contacts and district survey coordinators. We'll talk more about how to find your district response rates in just a few minutes. When the survey window closes on May 15th, Gibson will begin compiling all of the responses and analyzing data. Over the summer, Gibson will compile and analyze all of the data from parents who participated in the survey. In early fall, TEA and Region 10 ESC will report results to OSEP, ESCs, and districts. The results are aggregated to the state level and reported as part of the state performance plan. Results will also be available at the region and district level to help districts learn more about the ways that schools involve parents of students receiving special education services. Now we'll talk a bit about what to expect from the survey administration process. The first step in preparing to administer the parent involvement survey in your district is to visit your parent involvement survey portal. The survey coordinator in each district should have received your district's unique link for the survey portal, but please contact us if you haven't yet received it. The first thing you'll do on your survey portal is confirm the contact information for your district coordinator, the person in your district who is leading the survey effort. Having correct contact information, particularly addresses, is critical since we'll be sending you boxes of hard copy survey materials. You can confirm contact information by clicking on the registration tab. Here we have example ISD. The contact information we have on file is for Mary Jones. To change this to a different district coordinator, you'll click No, and then the arrow at the bottom of the page. On the next page, you'll enter in the correct contact information for your district coordinator. Next, you'll confirm the physical address that we should send all survey materials to. This address cannot be a PO box, so please make sure that if the address we have on file for you includes a PO box, that you modify it to include a physical address for the best place for you to receive your district surveys. You also have an option to add a second contact person for your district. For example, you could have the special education director listed as the first contact and an administrative assistant who might be helping with the distribution of surveys in the district as the second contact person. Both people will be included on all emails related to the parent involvement survey. Once you confirm your contact information, you'll make a plan for how the parent involvement survey will be distributed in your district. Surveys can either be distributed by the district office or by individual campuses. If your district decides to have individual campuses distribute the survey, be sure to designate someone at each campus to be responsible for the survey effort. You'll also need to decide how the survey will be distributed. You can mail them to student homes, send them home in student folders, hand deliver them to parents at IEP meetings, or use any other method of distributing materials to parents that you typically use in your district. Any surveys mailed home must have mailing addresses and postage applied. Though we have identified which students to send surveys home with, we do not have their addresses. It's also important to note that you don't have to use the same distribution method for every school in your district. Sending the survey home in student folders may work for elementary students, but be less successful for high school students whose parents don't typically check their school folders. To help facilitate distributing the survey in your district, it might be helpful to have a digital list of all the students selected to receive the survey in advance of receiving your survey materials. This list of students could be used to print mailing labels or notify parents in advance that they should be on the lookout for the survey. To request a digital student list, you'll go to your survey portal and click on the Request Digital Student List tab. Be sure to click the arrow at the bottom to submit your request. While you're confirming your contact information and making a plan for distributing the surveys to parents of the selected students, we'll be preparing parent involvement survey materials. Each box will contain instructions for distributing surveys to campuses and bundles of surveys for each selected campus in your district. Each campus bundle will include instructions for campuses to distribute surveys, a list of students selected to receive the survey in that campus, survey envelopes clearly marked with the selected student's name, campus, and grade, reminder postcards clearly marked with a selected student's name, campus, and grade, and a reminder flyer for promotional use. Each survey envelope will contain a letter to parents, a parent survey, and a business return envelope. If you choose to distribute surveys by mail, be sure to apply mailing address labels and postage to each survey envelope. The survey can be completed on the paper form and returned with the provided return envelope, or completed online. All paper and online materials are in both Spanish and English. Once you've distributed the surveys in your district, you should plan to distribute reminder postcards to parents approximately 1 to 2 weeks later. Again, be sure to apply address labels and postage to each postcard if you plan to mail them. To help ensure the success of the survey in your district, you can follow your district survey response rates on your survey portal. It may be helpful to bookmark your district survey portal page so you can come back to it more easily later. As a reminder, all of these response rates are preliminary since they're based on data as it's received. To view your district's overall response rate, click on the How does our response rate compare to the rest of Texas tab. This page will show you your district's current overall response rate compared with the overall statewide response rate. You can also view the response rates for individual campuses by clicking on the Who has responded at, fill in your district name, tab. The table on this page is sortable, so you can sort by campus name, number, or from lowest to highest response rate. You can also download the data into Excel if you prefer to use it that way. Your online survey portal also includes a number of survey administration resources under the Survey Administration Resources tab, including copies of all the materials included in your hard copy survey materials, like the instructions for district and campus coordinators and the letters to parents in English and Spanish. The online resources also include outreach materials to help increase the number of parents that respond to the survey, including email templates to help communicate about the survey effort within the district and with parents, and additional flyers and reminder postcards. Communication is key in making the survey a success, so please be sure that district superintendents and special education directors contact principals, and then that principals or teachers contact parents to remind them about this important effort. Results from the survey can provide districts and campuses with guidance for making important improvements to special education services and parent engagement. If parents do not participate, they miss their chance to have their voice heard. The more parents who participate, the more accurate the resulting data will be for schools and districts. Encourage parents to complete the survey by publicizing it. Distribute flyers, raise awareness of the survey using social media, and email or text parents individually if possible. So, what are your next steps? Right now, you should be sure that you confirm the contact information for your district coordinator on your district survey portal. Next, make a plan for distributing the survey in your district. Select campus coordinators if necessary. Use the survey portal to request an electronic version of the student list if that would be helpful. Once you receive your survey materials in early April, distribute the survey to parents of selected students. 1 to 2 weeks later, distribute reminder postcards to parents. Then be sure to follow up with parents you know have received the survey. Should you have any questions about the process at all, please feel free to email Alejandro Allen or call him at either of the numbers listed here. We're always happy to answer questions to make sure that the process goes as smoothly as possible. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Now we'll open it up for anyone that has questions. So remember to go to the Zoom toolbar on the bottom of your screen and click chat. You can type any questions you have in the response box that pops up. We'll answer all questions verbally and we'll post full answers to the Q&A to the survey portal along with the webinar recording. Again, just as a reminder, the webinar will be recorded and posted on the survey portal under the Survey Administration Resources tab. So I'll go ahead and answer any questions that you all might have, and I will also put up that contact information for you right here so that you all can see that as your final parting. Looks like the first question that I have here is, will the postcard have the parents' addresses? So that's a great question. The postcards do not have parent addresses on them, and neither do the parent surveys. None of the materials that we have include student addresses or any kind of contact information other than their campus. So it is, we kind of leave that to districts to help determine the best way for disseminating the survey and the reminder postcards to parents. If it's helpful, if you think that the best way to get those home to parents is to mail them home, then great. If you think the best way to send them home is in students' backpacks, that works too. We know that every district is a little bit different, and so using whatever methods you have and whatever you think are the best sort of most useful methods, you should go ahead and plan to use that for distributing the survey to parents of selected students. But again, as a reminder, and I will say this because it happens every year, unfortunately, make sure that you add, if you are going to mail out parent surveys or parent reminder postcards, make sure that you add mailing labels, like address labels, if they do not have addresses on them currently. And please make sure that you add postage because they do not currently have postage. Because we don't know how schools are going to distribute the surveys, we do not apply postage in advance. So if that's how you choose to do that, just make sure that you add address labels and that you add postage. So the next question is, have the students been selected as of today? If not, when will the student list be ready in the portal? So there are two things. So first of all, the students have not yet been selected. We are currently waiting on Texas Education Agency to finalize their fall snapshot data, which is what we use to select students for the survey. So once we have that data, which should be hopefully next week, we'll be able to start sampling students and then start sharing out those lists as requested. If you're interested in having your electronic list, they're not automatically posted to your survey portal because they do include student information. So we don't post any student information to the survey portal. Instead, we share it out as a link on our SFTP site. So if you request, but you can request that information on the survey portal. So if it's helpful and you would like to have that information, you can go ahead and request it now, even though the data is not yet available. And as soon as it is available, we'll send it over to you. If you decide later in the month of March that it would be helpful to have that, we'll send it to you then too. So you'll just use that survey portal to request the data, and then we'll share it and a link out with you via email, so that we don't have a survey portal that includes student data. The next question is, for the mailing lists, will the students or parents be predetermined? Yes, so we'll randomly select students at each campus to participate in the survey. And so in the information that we send to you, we will share, if you request that online or that electronic copy of the student list, you'll see all of the students listed by, it's usually sorted by campus, and then by grade, and then by student last name alphabetically. So you'll see that in that electronic version of the file, and then you'll also, in each district box, all of the campus packs, so each campus will be kind of like wrapped separately, and each of the campus packs will have a piece of paper that includes the names of all of the students whose parents are selected to receive the survey. The next question is, I'm at a small charter school. Will all parents receive a survey? That's a great question. I don't know 100% at the moment, because I don't know your particular school, and we haven't done the selection yet for students yet, because we're still waiting on that data. But in all likelihood, it will be most, if not all, of the parents at your school. And I would, as a reminder, that's parents of students receiving special education services. So in all likelihood, in most cases where there are schools that have fewer than 20 students who receive special education services, in most cases, all of those students are selected to receive the survey. The next question is, what if students selected have left the district? That is a really great question. And if students have left the district, you can essentially go ahead and recycle that survey. So the idea is that the survey is meant to be based on that fall snapshot data, and it's where that student was in October of 2019. Because we have to at some point have a cutoff, with all sort of student mobility, et cetera. It would be hard to consistently track students where every single student is at any given moment. And so we use the fall snapshot data to do so. So if they're no longer in your district, go ahead and you can just go ahead and recycle that survey. If for some reason there are extenuating circumstances, in some cases there are, short sort of students have short stays at particular campuses or things like that, go ahead and reach out to Alejandra Allen with the contact information included here, and we can talk with you about that particular situation. So it's not, we understand that there are always kind of different circumstances. If you have any questions about that and are really unsure about it, just go ahead and shoot us an email or give us a call. The next question is, can we send all surveys electronically through parent email? So you can send, we have on the survey on the survey portal, we have language for parent emails. So an email that you can send out to parents to remind them about the survey effort, and that includes the link to the survey. The thing to note there is that because the survey is not open to all parents of students receiving special education services, because we sample, parents are required to have an authenticator or like a PIN code to be able to take the survey. So you can remind them to take the survey. You can send them the link to be able to take it. And then when they get there, if they have their link, if they have their PIN code from their hard copy survey or from their reminder postcard, they can enter it. If they don't have it, we give them information on that page for how to contact us to get their PIN. And again, they're always welcome to call us. They can, if they really want, they can do the survey over the phone instead. And you can, we can make it available to parents that way. But if you ever have any questions, if parents are saying, I have the link to the survey, but I can't access it, just have them email us, or we're happy to chat with you about it too. The next question is, if we need the survey in another language, will we provide it? So by default, the survey is available in English and Spanish. Everything is already designed to be available in that way. All of the surveys that are printed and sent home to parents are in English and Spanish. That said, we have made the survey available in additional languages in the past and would be happy to accommodate parents if that's necessary. So if you have needs in your district for, I think we've had Vietnamese in the past. I think we've also potentially, we fielded the survey in Korean as well. So we're open to having the survey translated into additional languages even beyond those two, if that's something that is a need in your district. So if you have questions about the availability of the survey in additional languages, just go ahead and email Alejandro or give him a call, and we'll work to get a survey translation if necessary. The next question is, where do we get the list of those chosen for the survey? So you can request the digital list of students selected to receive the survey on your online survey portal. The lists right now are not yet available. We don't have the lists to share yet, but we should in the next couple of weeks. And once they're available, we'll send out secure links via email to those of you who have requested the digital student list. The next question is, if a student has withdrawn from the district and recycled the survey, how is this factored into the response rate? That's a great question. So when districts notify us that a student is no longer in the district, it is taken out of the response rate, but oftentimes districts don't notify us. So if you don't tell us, we don't know about it. Because we don't know that the students are there or not. So if you have concerns about that, please feel free to give us a call or send us an email, and we'll work with you to make sure that you have accurate response rates for your district. The next question is, what other languages is the survey available in? I think I've answered that, but again, if you have any questions about, if you have needs for additional languages or availability of different languages for the survey, please just let us know, and we're happy to work with your district or with Canvas staff to make that happen. The next question is there any way to add the PIN code on the electronic survey? And I'm not sure that I totally understand that question. So if it looks like it's Maribel Elizondo. So if you want to clarify the question, I'm happy to answer it. But if I understand you correctly, I think it's whether you're wondering if we could make it so that parents can figure out what their PIN code is by looking at the online survey. And unfortunately, if the idea is that we want to track students whose parents are participating in the survey, there's not really a way to make that available without kind of losing losing the, I guess, piece of data integrity there is what I would say, is because we don't necessarily know if people, would actually be completing that same survey. Or it could be that, you know, you're making it available to others, and I don't know, people could be going in and taking the surveys for other parents that you're not necessarily able to track. So to kind of keep it more secure, we only make those pins available as part of either on the hard copy survey that's printed, the hard copy postcard reminder that's printed for parents, or if they call us and request their PIN over the phone. And the next question is, what is meant by recycle? So for recycling the surveys, I honestly mean like putting it in the recycle bin. At that point, if you don't know where the student is, the student no longer attends your school district. There's not much else to be done, I think, unfortunately. If you'd like to notify us that, that you had a certain number, if you had 5 students for some reason that were selected but were not actually in your district any longer, then you can let us know and we'll kind of take that into account. The next question is the PIN number unique to the district or to the individual? That is a great question. The PIN code that is used to access the online survey and that is printed on every hard copy survey is unique to the parent. Or I should say unique to the student. So we create a list for every, a list that includes unique codes for every single student in every single district. And that is the specific code that references that student's information. So we know that that student's parent in that district, in that campus, completed the survey. So that's how we're able to, on that, if you recall that response rates portal, that's how we're able to say what the response rate is in each campus so that we can kind of follow up and make sure that we know how many parents in each campus are completing that survey. The next question is, could additional return envelopes be sent with the bundles? Yes. I think we started doing that last year, although now I can't remember if it was last year or if we just talked about doing it last year, but this year we're definitely doing that. So this question is specifically asking about if in those district boxes of surveys, the boxes that we send to your district that have bundles by campus, if we could include extra business reply envelopes in those bundles. And we've started adding, I think it's two business reply envelopes for each one, to make sure that if districts end up with extra surveys, if parents submit surveys to the district at an IEP meeting, or they drop it off in the front office or something like that, if parents are bringing hard copy surveys to the district, that they have business reply envelopes that they can put the surveys in. You can put several surveys in one envelope and it will all get returned to the same place and they will all get processed in the same way as all of the other surveys. So the easy answer to that question is yes, we're including additional return envelopes with the Canvas bundles this year. So you should have those if you need to send back surveys that have been returned to the district. Great, so I will go ahead and give a couple more minutes for questions if people have them, but did also want to remind you again that if you have any questions that you think of later this afternoon, later this week, 3 weeks from now, or at any point in the survey administration process, please feel free to email Alejandro, give him a call. If there are parents that have questions or parents that want to do the survey over the phone, they're welcome to call our toll-free number and we can help them take the survey over the phone. If they're looking for that PIN code, if they have any questions at all, you're welcome to direct them to us as well. And surveys can be taken over the phone, both in English and Spanish. So we have access to that during business hours, but they're welcome to call later in the evening, and we can set up a time with them later to do their surveys over the phone too, if that's an issue for them. Finally, as a reminder, we'll be posting the webinar recording to the online survey portal later this week. We'll also be posting a document that includes all of the questions that have been asked both in this webinar and in the webinar from earlier this morning. It's all the same content for the kind of presentation portion of it, but there may be different questions, and you may see a question that you never thought of that you're like, oh, that's great. And everybody can then sort of benefit from the question and answer sessions in both webinars. And then so the next question, sorry, so one additional question is, what if the district currently selected has less than 50,000?
So this is Alejandro, and I did receive an email from San Antonio ISD saying that their district no longer has more than 50,000, but they have in the past. Like they were selected every year before that. Because,
oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yes, we're aware of that. So they're included in the survey this year. If they have less than 50,000, it doesn't there's no difference as part of the survey administration process for really how any of those things go, right? So it's not like there are we don't package boxes differently, and we don't approach the situation differently for districts with fewer than 50,000 students. It's just that only makes a difference for how frequently those districts are included as part of the survey. So it doesn't even really impact how many students are sampled, because they're sampled in the same way. It's just based on a proportion of the total number of students in each campus and the total number of campuses. So there shouldn't be any differences in the survey administration process for small districts versus large districts. It's just a matter of how many students in each of those campuses are selected. But if you have a larger number of students in your district, anyhow, if you have 45,000 students in your district, you're still going to have many campuses that are not necessarily included in the survey because we're still sampling in the same way. So it's a great question, but from an administration perspective, from the process perspective, there's going to be no difference for administering the survey in districts that have fewer than 50,000 students compared to the districts that have more than 50,000 students. Great. So I will go ahead and say thank you again to everybody who took the time to participate in the Survey Administration webinar for the 2020 Parent Involvement Survey. And thank you for all of your questions. We'll go ahead and make these, the questions and answers and the webinar recording available on the survey portal, and we'll send that out to you in an email with links later this week. Again, please let us know if you have any questions using this contact information here. But I hope you all have a great rest of your day.